I'm KIRK Irons, and this is my conquest story. At the time, I felt like I knew what I was doing. At the time, I felt like, yeah, that makes sense. You know? In high school, at that age, when first going into high school, my love was basketball. I used to love Michael Jordan. I used to love all NBA basketball, and that's what I was legit was like my plan, to be a basketball player. And I mean, I wasn't that good, you know. I was okay, but I loved it. And my mindset was, if you love something and you practice it, if you obsess about it, you'll get good at it. And if you really, really try at something, that I could legit be an NBA basketball player if I practiced hard enough, you know. And you know, one thing that I can remember is I remember being in the counselor's office at school, and they would ask me, you know, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to be when you grow up? You know, you're going to grow up? What are you going to be? And I would say, I want to be a basketball player. Okay, yeah, but what about like a plan B? Like, if that doesn't work out, what else do you want to be? And I kind of felt offended. I was probably one of the most offensive things you could say, because you're basically saying, hey, what's your dream? This is my dream. Yeah, but you're not going to be able to do that. So what do you want to do when you don't accomplish your goal? What do you want to do when somebody else who's better at you, who's better than you, when they're going to take those spots? I remember they were like saying there's only so many teams and there's like so many players. I think there's only like 360 NBA basketball players out of the whole world. What makes you think that you're going to be good enough to play on that level? You know, just pretty kind of fucking shit on my dream. That's how I kind of fucking took it at that time. And then, you know, it makes you want to try harder, but then, you know, at the same time, I had like this militant shit in my head to where I didn't want to do good in school. And you needed to have, you know, passing grades to play on the basketball team. So in the summer between 8th grade and 9th grade, I went to a basketball camp, and it was held at the high school I was going to. And the basketball coach for the team was there, and I busted my ass at this camp, you know. I was very enthusiastic. I was very passionate, like I am about anything that I'm interested in. And they gave me that 6th period spot when I started high school. So basically, if you had 6th period PE, that starts your basketball practice. You know, it would start from, you know, 6th period and carry on till like 4:30, 5 o'clock was basketball practice. And I was, you know, on the junior varsity team. And this was the beginning of the school year, and I was busting my ass, you know, trying to get on the team. I wanted to start, you know, top 5, and I felt like on the junior varsity team, I felt like I could start at forward. And maybe, yeah, shit, I don't know, maybe when the first report cards came out, I had no passing grades. I didn't have any passing grades, so they were like, yo, you know, you're not eligible to play. And you know, at that age also, you know, it wasn't my fault, you know, it was somebody else's fault. I'm sure that was pretty much my attitude back then, you know. And so I just kind of gave up on it, because I knew I was really against school. I rebelled hard against school, and I was angry, kind of. And so any chance I got when we played like you know, open run basketball, like out on the playground, and if we played against people that were on the team, I would try to shit on them. You know, I'd try to like really like, you know, show them that I should be on the team and that they shouldn't be on the team, you know. And but it didn't mean anything, because they got to play in the big games and do all the shit, you know, wear the uniform. And I don't know how I felt about that. Like I had mixed feelings about that. Like, it was sad for me that I didn't, you know, do what I needed to do to really be, you know, play basketball. But then at the same time, I really hated the system that we live in. And, you know, I hated America. I hated white people. I really started getting angry at that time, and I really hated white people for like slavery and just the system that we lived in. And it was just, I felt black people were disadvantaged, and like we're just fucked, like from the gate, you know. And so I just had a lot of anger a lot of anger. And so I started alienating myself, you know, from everybody, you know, and hanging out with my friends less. And my friends at that time started getting into like gangs and drugs. I still wasn't into drugs because I was into sports. So I didn't do any drugs in high school. And I didn't drink, I didn't do anything like that. I felt like losers did that shit. Like losers smoke cigarettes and losers do drugs. You know, I was an athlete. I thought I was an athlete. And so anyway, my close friends started getting into like thug shit, you know, stealing cars, going to jail, joining gangs, you know, being shot at and shit like that. And that was just not my role. I was like, that ain't me, you know. So I started distancing myself from them, but they were still my people, you know. So like, I would still live in the same neighborhood, so we chilled together. But you know, they would even call me a pussy, like, ah, you're a pussy, because, you know, I wouldn't go, you know, do whatever they were doing, you know. But I had a sense of, you know, I always had a sense of independence where I didn't need a group to define me. So that was easy for me to not give a fuck about if they want to go do like some stupid shit like break into houses. I would be like, I'm going home. You know what I'm saying? I'm going home. They'd be like, ah, you a pussy. You know, I'm like, you ain't gonna get in trouble. I'm like, yeah, but that ain't, you know, I'm out. You know, I'm going home. You know, and they would do stupid shit, you know, and go to jail, and, you know, that just wasn't my thing. But one pivotal point in my life, major point in my life was we went to a party in San Francisco. Me, my friend Tyrone, and my friend Terrence, and the Fruit of Islam from the Nation of Islam were doing the security. The guys in the bow ties were doing the security for this party. All black men, you know, and they all looked very like clean, and they wore suits, and, you know, really nice suits, and their skin just looked really healthy, and their hair was just like on point, and they just like looked strong. You know, they were like really, you know, most of the black people that I fucked with were all, you know, from, you know, low income environment, and they were, you know, like thuggish, I could say. But these dudes had the strength and the authority of somebody dangerous, right? But they were also professional, and they were just captivating to me, you know. And I was just like, man, like, who are y'all? You know, who I never seen Nation of Islam before. This is the Nation of Islam is Malcolm X, you know, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, you know, and I didn't know, I never saw it before in real life. So when they were doing this party, my friends was going inside, but I stayed outside, and I was like, who are y'all? And they were like, you know, we're the Nation of Islam, and, you know, the black man is God, and like telling me everything I wanted to hear, like everything that sounded good to me. You know, also, you know, I grew up a Christian because we believed in Jesus, but we weren't in church all the time, you know, and my mother was Catholic, so we had crosses, and I believed in, you know, I believed in God, you know, I still, you know, I've always believed in God, and, you know, I was scared to go to hell. I was really scared to go to hell. And so the Nation of Islam, were, you know, just standing outside of this party, were, you know, were telling me like there is no heaven and hell, that heaven and hell is on earth. You know, it's all, you know, spook teaching. Like, it's all just like shit to keep you controlled. And that you're God, that, you know, you come from God, that the black man is God. And I was just like, it's, you know, especially at that time of my life, it's what everything I wanted to hear. And it was part of a group, and it was positive, and it was helping black people, and it was just everything that I was about at that time. And that was when I was 16. And that was, you know, between my sophomore and junior year. My junior year, I got kicked out of my high school because I had so many truancies. Basically, you know, I didn't show up to class, you know. Or if I did show up to class, I wouldn't do shit in class. Sometimes I would just go to the library and read books. And I would be on campus. I remember one time they pulled me in the office, and they're like, where do you go when you're not in class? And I'm like, I'm in the library. And they're like, no, for real, where are you going? Where are you doing when you're not at school? You know, and I'm like, I'm at school, I'm in the library. And so they went and asked the librarian, they're like, yeah, he's here all the time. You know, they don't know because some kids, you know, they have certain classes that they, you know, seniors have certain classes that they don't have to go to class. They can just chill in the library. So I would chill with some of the kids. They were, you know, in the library, or I would read most of the time. I would never like go smoke or anything. I was never into no crime. You know, I just didn't fuck with school. So anyway, that was when I was 16. I went to a continuation school in Peninsula. Peninsula was the name of the school, and I went there for a year. I was going to the mosque heavy at that time. You know, I'm 16, you know, 17 years old, and I was talking about black power and white man is the devil and black man is God, and you know the Bible's false, and I had all this information, you know, of a adult in high school where kids ain't even on that level. You know, they don't even, you know, most people don't even read the Bible, and I was like in it, you know what I'm saying, like reading it all the time, and I would have arguments, and you know, I'd fuck with people, you know, and it was like my power, and people, you know, other black kids would be like gravitate to it, and like, you know, they want to hear it, you know, but they wouldn't be about that life, but they, you know, they would love to hear like the things I had to say, which wasn't mine. It was, you know, it's obviously, you know, the Nation of Islam, but I was a big, you know, that's what was my life. So anyhow, at one point, they pulled me into the office and they said I was a threat to the campus. Now, let me tell you how important that is, or how significant that is I was going to Peninsula, a school that had kids that like stab people, fight, steal, drugs, shit, and got kicked out of all the high schools in San Mateo County. You go to Peninsula is the school you go to when you've been in jail or juvenile hall, or you've been a delinquent. You go to this school. But I was a threat to that campus because of the way that I was talking. I called one of my teachers a devil. You know what I'm saying? And they brought me in the office, and then I had to do homeschool. And then I did enough to where I got back to school. I went to San Mateo High School for a little while. And as soon as I turned 18, I dropped out of school. As soon as I turned 18, I dropped out. I didn't have I think it took 210 credits to graduate, and I had like 20, I think, in my senior year. So at that point, I was still living with my parents, and you know, people always ask me like, you hated white people, you were in the Nation of Islam, but your mom is white. How did that go? You know, and I kind of didn't feel like, I mean, obviously my mom's white, but I didn't look at her like how I was looking at other white people at that time, because she was married to a black man in a time when you did not see no, you know, mixed couples. Now it's all the time, but at that time it was very rare to see a black man and a white woman together, especially in where I was living. And so I never looked at her like that, but my mom, like I said, she had an open mind, so she never, that I recall, never was like offended by it. She asked me about it, and then I remember that they were uncomfortable with it, and they were asking me something about it, but I don't exactly remember what they didn't want me to do, but I was basically saying, this is my belief, you know. And they were like, well, you can believe what you want, but you can't live here, you know. But you got to understand also, at this time, I was a bum ass motherfucker. Like didn't want to work. I was entitled, you know, bitter because I didn't, you know, I wasn't able to play basketball like I wanted to. I was really into music, rap, you know, that's when I started like writing raps and shit. And I was really big into rap, you know, and during my high school years. That's what after basketball was over, I wanted to do rap. I wanted to be a rapper.
Every day you bring joy to my life, and I love your mother even though she ain't my wife, and I cry like a baby on the day you was born, and I know now what God put me here for, and I do what I can, though sometimes it ain't enough, and I promise I'll be there when your life gets rough, and I hope I can make your life better than mine, and it ain't because of you, when me and your mama fight. I was working working at Foot Locker, trying to make rent. At this time, me and your mama had a small apartment.